Okay, so this is my submission for my e-portfolio for Module 4. Module 4 looks at support and comprehension in secondary classroom. So I'd like to start off with just a summary of the assessment. This week, my classmates and I were assigned to select literature that we think would be useful to incorporate into our major subject. Afterwards, we were also tasked with identifying 3 unique strategies which we would use to support reading comprehension. So for this assignment, I decided to choose Issues for Canadians, which is written by Patricia Lychuk, Dale Anderson Garretts, Alan Novium, and Jim Parsons. Issues for Canadians is a textbook targeted towards grade 9 social studies class, which has chapters that focus mainly on government, immigration, economics, and justice. Obviously, social studies is my major, as during my IPT, I'll be mostly teaching actually with this textbook, so I thought it'd be really useful to incorporate this into my assignment. So there's a few benefits that I noticed with this textbook, primarily being that it was designed for a grade 9 social studies class, so this resource was designed specifically for educating adolescents. It pulls right from concepts right from the program of studies, the Alberta curriculum, so it's a really useful tool for upcoming Alberta teachers. This textbook also uses various photos, writing styles, comics, graphs, and colorization to support learners. So it's not just a plain worded textbook. They incorporate quite a few different colorizations for keywords. You open up the textbook and you can see various photos that align specifically with the text. It's a really great resource to help all sorts of learners.
The textbook maintains the 90 to 10 ratio referenced in Rivera's et al.'s research paper. Essentially, the 90 to 10 ratio is 90% vocabulary that students will be able to readily use and understand, and the 10% is new vocabulary or challenging vocabulary. The idea being that 90% of the 90% of the language that they already have a grasp of can be used to help them reach out to scaffold up to that 10% ratio. To assist this, the textbook also has a glossary with key terms that are important but may be difficult, and also have definitions to help students achieve an understanding of the terms. This at the bottom here is just a little quote that I thought was really important that we talked about in one of our seminars, and there's a striking agreement that low-achieving adolescent readers improve their comprehension performance when they learn to apply strategies. This improvement has been demonstrated among adolescents, native English speakers, as well as adolescent and English language learners who struggle with reading. It's really important that although some of these strategies might be directed towards ELLs or students that may struggle with the English language, it's important to remember that these are just good teaching practices, and no matter where they are on, as I like to refer to the spectrum of English language, all these practices can help them improve their grasp of English or any language. So it's really important not to just categorize some of these practices as helping certain people. It helps everyone, and it's just a good teaching practice. So activities to improve reading comprehension prior to reading. So I split this up into the prior to reading, during reading, and after reading. So our first prior to reading activity is possible sentences. Possible sentences allow students to use key vocabulary terms while also making predictions. The teacher will create a list of various vocabulary terms from the selected reading. Students will then use those words to create possible sentences that may be found in the upcoming reading. By requiring a minimum of 2 vocab words per sentence, students will be forced to think critically of how these words relate to each other. So with a focus on social studies, this could be an example of it could be having words like family, immigration, labor force, legislation, any of those kind of words that kind of pertain with immigration, and then having a student create a sentence with it. So, for example, they could say that families might be tied to immigrate into a new area because they may have other family members in that location. So, with this being said, students can reference their sentence during and after the reading to see if maybe
they're on the right track prior to reading, and also use it to build on, okay, maybe they had the wrong idea at first, see how they went the wrong direction, and then remake their sentence so it fits and makes sense. At the bottom here is a quote of how this relates to good teaching. When students make predictions before reading, they must recall what they know about the type of text to be read and anything they might know about the specific text or the topic it covers. Making predictions before reading also gives students an opportunity to check and reflect on the predictions while reading as well as after reading. Discussions of predictions that include teacher supports and scaffolds also provide an opportunity for students to gain an understanding of the purpose for the reading of the text. So an activity for during reading is the GRP. For this strategy, students read the text and try to remember as many important facts as possible. After they have read the text, they put away the text and write down every fact that they can remember. Next, students go back into the textbook for things they missed. They add the additional facts to their list. Finally, students categorize and organize the information they took from the text. So this activity forces students to monitor their understanding and allows them to go back and double check what they understood, what they could have done better. Monitoring understanding and asking students questions during reading cues students to recognize when their comprehension breaks down and to identify the knowledge. Example of vocabulary word or content concept they need to repair their comprehension. Asking ELLs to explain their process for making meaning while reading and strategies to overcome the difficulties is another method to increase opportunities to produce language. Now this during reading actually combines with our post-reading activity, which is the discussion web. The teacher selects a topic, word, or sentence. The students then take facts from the reading and use them to summarize a topic at the center of the web. Mapping out relevant and irrelevant material on the whiteboard and through a discussion can help students visualize the criteria for central topics. So in practice, this could be in the center of the board you write immigration. Now, all along the web, students can connect different triggers for immigration. So you can, maybe it could be, like we mentioned, family, so family ties, or it could be economic reasons, or it could be any variation that came from the reading. After that, students can also link to concepts that don't meet into the web. So this helps students summarize information. Writers and speakers summarize because it requires them to synthesize what they have tried to communicate, distinguishing for their audience what is important from them and what is not. Similarly, having a reader summarize what he has read requires that he synthesize the information and differentiate between more and less important information. Alright, well thanks for watching my video and I hope you have a great day.